New research has come out that explains exactly how you can climb the career ladder 29% faster, and all you have to do is become a narcissist. Don't worry, I'll explain exactly what this means thanks to this BBC Worklife article. And this is a new type of video that I wanted to try, where whenever I come across a really interesting article that talks about career changes or career progressions, I wanted to review it up on this channel and give you my thoughts and also explain exactly how you can use this advice to help your own career. Let us know down in the comments below if you think this is a really cool video idea or if I should scrap it and just try something else. So this is going to be kind of like my own version of a reaction video where I'm going to look at a really interesting article that's put out about your career, and I'm going to give you, number one, a quick summary of it. So if you don't want to read it, I'll take care of that for you. Two, I'm going to give you my analysis of what the article has said. And then lastly, we're going to wrap it up by talking about some key takeaways and how you can apply some of this advice that's good or bad to help you in your career. So the first thing that we need to do to understand this BBC Worklife article is to really define what a narcissist is. And I don't know about you, but I wasn't 100% sure what the real definition of a narcissist was, so I had to go ahead and Google it and go to a dictionary. So according to the dictionary, the definition of a narcissist is someone who has excessive interest or admiration in oneself or one's physical appearance. So basically, this is someone who is very confident, but also can be sometimes arrogant. Now, you're going to see this trait in a lot of really popular and famous CEOs today, like Larry Ellison from Oracle, Elon Musk at Tesla and SpaceX, and the late, great Steve Jobs. So now that we know what the definition of a narcissist is, or the definition of narcissism, we can now give a quick, brief summary of what this whole BBC article is talking about. So basically, this article is covering some brand new research that came out that is trying to explain how or why narcissists are able to constantly climb the corporate ladder and reach the top. And a lot of it is what they believe to be because they are not afraid to boast about themselves or to talk about their accomplishments. And more importantly, they are not afraid to tell their managers or their higher-ups or their leadership about their overly ambitious goals that they think that they can achieve, which of course will really impress any manager if they are able to have that vision and achieve that goal. The article goes on to say that someone with narcissistic tendencies will actually have a 29% faster career progression through the corporate ladder. And even more interesting than that is that narcissism actually can be interpreted differently entirely based on your gender. So what that means is, in general, companies and leadership tend to be much more forgiving of narcissists if you are a male as compared to a female. Now, the article is also trying to warn and kind of create their own PSA that companies should not heavily invest or reward narcissistic behavior or employees, because one of the downsides of this is if they were to quickly rise through your ranks and take leadership positions, that narcissists may not always be the most qualified or even qualified to have the skills to be running or having leadership positions. Because as we talked about at the beginning of the article, if they are setting overly ambitious goals for themselves, which they may or may not be able to achieve, they sometimes get promoted faster than the skills that they were actually able to acquire, which would potentially lead a narcissistic leader to make very brash decisions or to make incorrect decisions because they don't actually have the knowledge to go and make the right decision, or they'll make an unethical decision just because they want to protect their reputation or because they've made these grand promises that they now need to deliver on. And then towards the end of the article, they list a few different strategies that companies can use to avoid hiring too many narcissists. And also what they did, which I thought was pretty cool, is explain exactly how you can work with a narcissistic teammate or boss. Their first suggestion, if you're trying to work with someone who may be a narcissist, is to not challenge their authority because you don't want to hurt their ego. Instead, you're going to want to find ways where you can please their ego and talk about ways or give suggestions where things can actually benefit them as opposed to helping you. And second, if you have a narcissistic boss, you're going to want to make sure that you get enough visibility with other senior leaders who may be the same level as your boss or a level above your boss, so that they also know what you're working on and what you have been able to accomplish. Because what you don't want to happen is for your narcissistic teammate or manager to steal the credit for some of the great ideas you've had or the projects that you've been able to deliver. Okay, so what are my thoughts on this article as a career coach? Well, the first thing that I want to talk about is this whole notion of fake it until you make it. Now, I have a management consulting background, and when I left consulting, now I can actually tell you that some of the times when we are in these meetings with senior level clients who are asking us to do some type of work, not everybody on that consulting team comes prepared with that experience to actually deliver on the work or skills that we told the client we could do. Now, we usually will have some senior member of our team, either a director or a manager, who has this skill set, but not all of the associates or senior associates will have that skill set. And so quite literally, we do fake it until we make it, where we will have to learn these skills as we are doing the project or as we are working on whatever deliverable it needs. Now, a lot of that coaching will come through the work itself, but also through our manager or our leader who already has this skill set and can then pass it down to you. So I don't always think that setting really ambitious goals for yourself with your manager is necessarily a bad thing. I think if you are able to set a goal that may be a little bit of a stretch for you, but you are confident in your ability to learn things very quickly, I don't always think it's actually a bad thing. And it's a really good strategy if you want to help get yourself promoted. Now, another thing this article talks about is being able to talk about your accomplishments, right? And sometimes narcissists take it a little bit too far and they can come across as arrogant. And some of my clients even tell me that when it comes time to interviewing or when they have to talk about their promotion and their performance review cycle, they're very uncomfortable talking about themselves because they feel very awkward when they have to brag or talk about their own accomplishments. Now, if you are working in a Western culture or here in the States, you unfortunately are going to probably have to develop this skill set, because this is the type of behavior that is rewarded, not because we want to have narcissists in our company, but because your manager isn't following you all the time. You may have a lot of other people on your team, and so they don't know exactly what you're doing 365 days of the year. So if you don't tell them about some of the projects you've been working on or the problems that you've solved, they may not know about it, which isn't really their fault. So you need to make sure that you are documenting everything that you're doing so that you can actually have a productive conversation when it's time to talk about your career. Another one of my thoughts when reading this article is that it's actually a good balance and something to think about, that you need to know when it's appropriate to talk about yourself and to let people know about your great accomplishments and your skills, but also how to do it in a tactful manner so that people don't think that you are so arrogant, because no one likes to work with someone who is a narcissist. So finding that right balance is going to be really important for you, and you need to figure out what that looks like on your specific team with your manager. And the last really interesting point of this article that I wanted to discuss, which is unfortunate in today's society and work culture, is how narcissistic tendencies tend to favor men and really tend to hurt or provide a really poor personal brand for women. And I've heard this multiple times at many different companies that I've worked with and people that I've coached, that women who tend to be very comfortable and confident and assertive and are comfortable talking about themselves, very similar to how a man would, they sometimes get perceived as being a B, which is really unfortunate, because when men do it, it seems to be totally fine, because that's something that's always happened, I guess, in our workplace. And I really do hope that this is a trend that can be changed in the future. All right, so what are some lessons that you can learn from this BBC article? Well, I think the first thing is that you need to start to become comfortable talking about yourself and your accomplishments, but as long as you're doing it in the right way, you shouldn't feel embarrassed or awkward or uncomfortable. You need to think about it as this is how you are going to be building up your personal brand, and that your personal brand is ultimately what's going to take for you to get promoted and for you to reach higher levels in your career. Now, not always can you just sit back, do great work, put your head down and work very, very hard. If no one knows that you're working hard or how your hard work is is contributing to the team or the company, you won't get rewarded and recognized for it. So make sure that there is a very tactful way for you to talk about your accomplishments and build up your personal brand. If you want additional tips on how to build a good personal brand, I've got other videos up on this channel that you can check out. Now, another key lesson or takeaway here is for any of you who may have Asian heritage backgrounds or upbringings or values. Now, the reason why I talk about this is because in Eastern culture, it's actually frowned upon for folks to be arrogant or for folks to brag or for folks to talk about themselves. But if you are working in a Western company, Western culture, that you need to recognize that this is actually a different type of behavior that you are going to have to adopt if you really want to succeed. Now, it doesn't mean that if you never do this, you'll never get promoted and you'll never reach higher levels. I have seen a lot of people do it, but as the article says, it'll be 29% faster if you are able to develop some of these tendencies. But make sure you're taking the good tendencies and not overdoing it and becoming too arrogant. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know actually with the comments or with the likes or dislikes. We're trying something new up on this channel and I would love to get your opinion and feedback on it. So thank you all for watching. Subscribe if you want more free career content around interviewing, resume writing, or changing careers. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.